In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 best foods for IBS, Crohn's, or colitis. And notice how I said the best foods. These are going to be the most nutrient-dense and easy to digest foods out there, but they will not alone fix your digestive issues. There's something else at the root cause, and I'm going to show you that at the end of this video. And this information comes from the work of Weston A. Price. He was a dentist in the 1930s, and he wanted to know what healthy, primitive populations were eating. He would look at National Geographics, and they had perfectly white, straight teeth. And he went and he visited them, and he pretty much just discovered they were eating the most nutrient-dense foods in their environment. Very simple. So the first food is meat. And more specifically, protein. Protein is super important for somebody with IBS, Crohn's, or colitis. Now, this is beef from Costco. It's grass-fed. It doesn't have to be organic, but organic will be better. Protein stems from the Greek word proteus, which means of the utmost importance. If you look at the mineral composition of the body, after carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, nitrogen is the next most abundant mineral in the body, which is amino acids, which is protein. So we need to give the body lots of protein. And you're not absorbing this protein because your gut is in and out of overdrive, and you're not absorbing a lot of your nutrients. You need extra protein to put extra weight back on because you've lost so much. So protein is super important. Meat, eat what your taste buds crave, whether it's pork, beef, or chicken. Eggs are another great source of protein, but protein is super important. Meat is super important. I know you can get plant-based proteins, but those plant-based proteins are lacking in essential amino acids. So make sure you get a good meat source into you for the essential amino acids. The next food, which a lot of people tend to blame for their digestive issues, which made no sense to me, is dairy. Now, what I'm holding right here is something called raw milk. And this is milk that hasn't been pasteurized. Now, there's a book called The Milk Diet, where this doctor would put somebody on bed rest and just give them raw milk for like a month, 2 months straight, and he got a lot of good results with this. But I've done this before, and I've seen other people do that before, and it doesn't work like it used to, and I'm going to share with you why with the last tip I give you at the end of this. But dairy is very good for you. I know you might react to it, but this is because it's linked to a past conflict. And if you believe this, your brain controls your gut. And if you believe this to be toxic and it goes into you, what do you think your brain's going to order your gut to do? It's either going to go out the other end and give you diarrhea, or you're going to vomit it back up. This is baby food. A baby can live off of this for 2, 3, or 4 years, just this, and be extremely healthy. There is no food that, with the raw milk, what's cool about this is it has all the enzymes in it for you to digest the food. So that requires like almost no work from your body to digest it. When someone, like, the other day I saw someone get all worked up because someone put butter on their steak, and they were like, "Oh my God, I can't tolerate that." And I said, in English, do you know what you're saying? You're saying that I'm afraid of the vitamin A, D, E, and K2 in the butter. It literally makes no sense. But if you react to that food, it's because on a subconscious level, or even a conscious level, you believe it to be toxic, and then your body wants to eject it. Dairy is very good for you, whether it's butter, cheese, milk, whether it's raw or whether it's pasteurized. It is essential nutrients for your body. Now, the next food that loves to get demonized when you first start trying diets for IBS, Crohn's, and colitis is starch and gluten. Again, gluten is protein. Why are you going to be afraid of protein? It makes literally no sense. Yes, I agree that wheat could be grown better and more organic, and there are organic wheats for you to buy. But starch is very important because your body is burning through tons of nutrients. Starch is actually the most nutrient-dense plant food. What the plant is like, think about what's going on in nature. The plant is concentrating all of its nutrients into the seeds so that it can grow into new plants. That's like if you break down every part of the plant, where the most nutrients are in the seeds. And this is just ground up grass seeds cooked and gone through a cooking preparation to make it all nice and fluffy. Starches are good. Your body needs calories to heal. It needs calories. It needs the glucose to power the healing process. And a lot of these diets that they have us go on have us eliminating the main fuel source of our body. So I did not start having a reaction to starches until I went on the FODMAPs diet, the specific carbohydrates diet, the GAPS diet, and like literally overnight after reading those books, I believed these to be bad, and every time I ate these things, I would get symptoms. Then I discovered something called GNM, which shows us that our gut issues, our IBS, Crohn's, and colitis is caused by a sort of stress in our life. The next day, I could eat as much gluten and starch and anything that I wanted, and it had zero symptoms because I knew it was caused by the conflict in my life, putting my gut in and out of overdrive, not energy and nutrients. The next food is seaweed. Seaweed is an anomaly, and in Weston A. Price's book, one of the few plant foods that were revered, that they worshipped, was starches, and then seaweed. They weren't worshiping carrots and all that stuff. They were worshiping starches and seaweed. In the Andes, they would hike in the Andes mountains, super high mountains. They would hike the seaweed from the sea floor. They didn't have cars and all modern equipment and all that stuff. They would hike it all the way up into the Andes mountains because there was special nutrients in the seaweed for those populations living in the high altitudes to live a healthy life, and nutrients required for that was only in the seaweed. And when you look at seaweed compared to all the other plant foods, it is packed with tons of minerals. So seaweed is a good food. The most important nutrient that Weston A. Price points out in his book are fat-soluble vitamins, which are mainly found in liver. Now, fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K2. Now, I do not like the taste of liver. I could have liver pate, chicken liver sometimes. So the way that I get liver into me on a daily basis is something called fermented cod liver oil with concentrated mineral butter. Liver is the most nutrient-dense food on the planet, period. Not the tastiest, but it is the most nutrient-dense food, and this is how I like to get these fat-soluble vitamins inside of me, is with liver oil. But if you enjoy liver, eat liver, and your body's going to get all the nutrients it needs to put itself back together. But I need you to realize that if you eat all these foods, there is no guarantee you will get better, because this healing process is controlled by your brain. Now, I have a book right here. It's by Dr. Burrell Crohn's, the guy who discovered Crohn's disease, put Crohn's disease on the map. In the first page of this book, he says that people who have these conditions are super stressed out all the time. I was super angry all the time, and that was putting my gut in and out of overdrive. There's another book right here called The Human Colon, where their colitis and IBS was so bad, their guts were hanging out of them so they could see their intestines. And so they would talk to these people about different subjects. If they talked about something that made them angry, their intestines would turn red, and their intestinal muscles would start to freak out, and then they would get diarrhea. If they talked about something that made them fearful, their intestines would turn pale, and they would start to become constipated. If they talked to them about something that they liked, or just neutral, their intestines would slowly go back to a normal function. There are lab studies where they induce Crohn's, IBS, and colitis in rats just by stressing them out. They know it is mostly caused. I put on 30 pounds in like 2 or 3 months just by not blaming food anymore, learning the basics of GNM, and getting the conflict in my life under control that was making me angry all the time. I tried every single diet under the sun. Now, if you want to learn everything that I did and my students did to get better, what you need to do is go click on this video right here, and I show you everything that I did to get better.